Oil looks like it's breaking out, Bitcoin possibly a short, and this NASDAQ might roll over. This is the daily entry. I'm bringing you day trading setups on the NAS, the Dow, gold, oil, and of course, BTC. Let's go. Now, not a major week so far in terms of what we can expect. We got some housing data, we got home sales, but the big one I would assume here is the Fed minutes that are getting released. And now we have seen that the Fed is leaning a little bit less hawkish with the current data that has been coming out, and that has resulted in a little bit of bullish moves in the NASDAQ and the Dow. Now, today is getting super interesting because oil looks like it might be a little bit hungry for a pump. And what is that going to mean for the rest of these assets? So guys, let's take a look at oil. Let's see what's going on here. So in terms of an oil breakout, it's looking relatively aggressive. If you take a look at oil on the 2-hour time frame, you can see at the moment on my oscillator, I'm busy getting a 2-hour toe curler here. So we had our original rejection, and now we are getting the toe curler, and that means that we could be looking at some kind of pop to the upside on oil. Now, other than a possible momentum breakout trade, we could reasonably expect something like this to start playing out if we do get some market momentum. So just look out there. If we get a pumpy oil situation here on a Monday, we might find some weakness in the Dow and the NAS, and that Dow has got some big levels lower down that I want to talk to you guys about. So if oil does break out, where's the big zone? 86, 87, guys. That is the big target there for me. I would expect we can get some kind of short there on oil at that zone. If for some reason oil drops, here is the long zone. It's 79. That type of region makes sense. VWAP 50-day horizontals, but right now eyes on this breakout. Momentum traders, you can try and ride this one a little bit higher. You can see we've got that typical squeezy setup here in play now on oil, and this could result in a little bit of a pop to the upside. Okay, so what does that mean for these other guys? Well, you can see the Dow finally hit our bounce zone that I was covering last week. We remember on Friday we were trying to live trade this guy and we just couldn't get the entry. So we did have the bounce, but like I explained on Friday, this is a concerning area for me because we're simply running out of liquidity on this type of region. And the reason being is there's a hell of a long way down. If we take a look at the chart and start zooming out, look at this wick here on the left hand side of your screen. You can see the size of this. I'm not happy with what is going on there. So in terms of this guy, there's no trade in this region. If this Dow starts losing levels, and the next reasonable bounce zone has got to be 53,350. So 53,350 is going to be the next reasonable bounce region to pay attention to. What do we do now on the short term? Well, you can see if you want to take on some risk, I am in a small bounce position here at the moment. The exit is going to be under 53,600 on the Dow, and we are simply looking for a short-term move to the upside. That is 53,800. That's going to be your DGen short zone that you can look at. Look at that nice wick VWAP 382. So 53,780 looks like the short zone there for me on the Dow if we pump higher. And then I've got a bit of a banger here, 53,880. Look at this mini undercarriage, nice 618 as well, nice wicks to deal with up there. So those are the two short zones that make sense. 50-50 long zone in this current region. I do think if this Dow starts losing levels here, we could get quite a sharp move lower down. So look out for that one. Then in terms of the NAS, playing lots of games, it's been sitting in a very tight range, and we were trying to get the short and this long on the Friday live trading session, and they just wouldn't give it to us. So in terms of what I'm expecting now at the moment on the NAS, I still believe we do have an opportunity to just pop this thing a little bit higher into this resistance zone and then look at that first short. So you can see my alarm is set on my chart, and I'm looking for shorts anywhere around 280 into about 3350 looks interesting to me. This is the capital.com chart at the moment. If for some reason it pops higher, then you're going to be looking at the all-time high short, and look at this bearish order block. Look at these wicks sitting up here to the upside, and that is everything from 3650 into about 3790. That looks like your next reasonable short zone on the Dow. So just play safe here, guys. Remember, if we get stopped out in one of these first zones, just sit back and wait for the next area. Let it come to you rather than chasing it. You don't want to get in a situation where you keep adding to the upside and then, for example, it pops and it runs even higher up. Now, in terms of longs, what can you do with the NAS? I do like this region. Look at this VWAP over here. Nice horizontals coming into play. So longs, 29,870, still looking good for me on that NAS. Again, ideally, what you want to do, make sure your oscillators on the lower time frames are tying in with a reversal. Whether you're looking for a bounce, you want to see that bullish reversal, or you're looking for a sell or short, you want to see that bearish reversal to the upside. Now, obviously, big news on gold. It's one of the strongest looking charts out there at the moment, and you can see gold surpasses US treasuries as the world's top reserve asset. Okay, what does that mean for us? Where can we trade this thing? So today I'm still trying to be super patient here with gold. You can see in terms of big levels, 4,530 is the big one, and lower down 4,220 is the bigger one to the downside, and everything kind of in between feels like a little bit choppy and uncertain unless you're really dialing into much lower time frames. So in terms of trades, shorts 4,500 looks good to me for gold. Longs 4,220 looks good to me. Until then, I'm waiting very patiently on this guy. Let's talk about the big dog Bitcoin and what is going on here. So Sunday banger we cover in the Chart Hackers Discord. Every Sunday we look at a teeing up plan for Bitcoin for the week. We talk about what could happen into the Asia session after a Sunday move, and this thing was basically a textbook play. They took out the weekend low. This is one of the first longs we gave yesterday on that Chart Hackers Sunday banger. We get the long and we moved it into the first short zone, and this short zone has now been used up. That's our 50-day, that's our VWAP from the highs, that's our 382, and it was our wick fill into a bearish order block. So we can see in terms of the Bitcoin chart, the low time frame move has now played out. We got the long into the short. What happens next, guys? If we do push higher, I would say slightly less conviction. You can try the short again, 63, 650. Try that again, call it a sweep of those highs and look for that drop. But my conviction short for today, for the daily entry, look at those wicks over there, look at that 618. I've got a super bearish order block sitting in that region. So if you're asking me where's my highest conviction play for the day on Bitcoin, 64,350. That looks like an absolute cracker short there for me. Now if this thing does drop a little bit lower down during the course of the day, I'm not looking to trade this weekend low again. I do believe we are going to come lower, and the first place we're going to be looking is these wicks over here, which was from our weekend drop on the 1st of August. So we're looking at a sweep of that area, and you can see right now we haven't taken it out. Look at these wicks over here. They left it. They were a bit lazy on Friday, so I'm looking for that drop over there and then that sweep. So right now I have actually preset an order on Bitbase at 62,100. I've got a tentative long here waiting for me on Bitbase, looking to see if I can catch that little scalp on BTC. We're not going to get married to this thing. If it starts dropping, there obviously are a lot bigger levels lower down that we will deal with, and I will be updating in the Chart Hackers Discord for you guys. So remember, all these charts are in the Chart Hackers Discord. I've got a separate channel there for you in my section called the Daily Entry, and during the course of the day I'm going to update these levels for you guys, and if I take any more trades I'll obviously let you guys know. Okay, so there's your daily entry. Play safe, guys. Keep it tight. It's a Monday. Be careful with any pumps out there. See you later.